spending lots of time searching outside of yourself to find happiness, joy, health, and wealth? With each new acquired good or goal reached, are you once again jumping on the gerbil wheel, searching for that next thing to make you happy? The answers we are searching for are actually inside of us, and the connection we are looking for is one with self. Explore these and other self-reflective questions here on Finding the Spark Within. Hosted by Kristen Collins, discover how you can connect with your purpose and achieve true happiness, meaning, and well-being. Don't miss tuning in and find the spark within.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the latest episode of Find the Spark Within. And as you guys know, it is always a pleasure for me to connect with someone that is helping me find my spark within. And the point of this conversation is to stir that curiosity within you so you can connect with who you are and why you are, especially in all of the noise and the uncertainty of what's going on our globe today. So with that, I have a very special guest that inspired me to go ahead and do a podcast, the one and only David Essel. David, welcome to the Find the Spark Within podcast.
Kristen, we have talked a couple times and our energy is so freaking in alignment. It's not even funny. And I just love being with you. I've said this multiple times. Whenever I get a text from you, I feel like I'm texting myself. Okay. Because that's the way I respond. So I'm so honored to be with you. The passion and energy that you bring to this world is matching. The world needs this more than anything. You mentioned that, a few minutes ago. We are in a place that is unparalleled. No one has a clue of what the heck to do, even right now. We've been in it for 2.5 years. You and I talk about mind, body, spirit. There are so many people that prior to this experience that we're going through had routines and rituals and felt secure and grounded. In the last 3 years, people have lost their groundedness. We can put statistics out there in a little while, some very powerful ones, just to prove how ungrounded we are. But we need these podcasts that you're doing. We need them because people can be lost right now. They are lost. And without guidance and steps and all the things that you and I might take for granted in our own lives, even though we're struggling in many ways, just like everyone else, we need those guidelines to be reminded of what to be true that maybe you just have not kept following. It's that kind of stuff. And that's why we're such in alignment, Kristen. And so thank you.
Oh, it is absolutely my honor. And one of the really cool components of me connecting with you is that you have been in this space of healing and motivation and empowerment and transcendence for quite some time. And I have dabbled unknowingly in that space, but recently really understood that is actually my purpose. So having you today as the guest to be able to take us from a perspective of longevity, I think is vital, because we're going to talk today about the state of mental health and how that aligns with our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health for sure. But I'm super excited because you can help support, in essence, what you just said, because you've been doing this for decades, is many of us were chugging along, super type A, super getting her done, and willing our way through a very head-based existence and very successful. And if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's been this disruption of what are we actually in control of and what actually matters to us, and just really reevaluating. So with that, David, I'd love to ask you, based on your historical lens, what are some of the most eminent challenges right now that people that really had it together now are going, what the heck? I don't know how to handle this any longer.
Well, I think a lot of us are so strong that over the years, we've relied on ourselves to get through challenges, and it's worked. But the pandemic is not your normal challenge. The pandemic is not your normal anything. So the number one thing I say is, if you're trying to move through this alone and you're struggling, that's our number one mistake. We have to get vulnerable, ask for help. Kristen, I have a team of people that have been with me for a number of years. They're unbelievably strong. I sent a text to them the other day, and I might get emotional here. I sent a text apologizing because within I had 3 weeks of COVID with fevers. I could barely move. I could barely think. I couldn't do anything. And when I came out of it, and that wasn't that long ago, when I came out of it, I started to realize that I was sending the same messages 2 to 3 days in a row to 6 people without even realizing it, right? And, I've got such a great team of people. No one ever said anything until I went back. And then I said, oh my God, I sent this email on Monday. And then I sent an email on Tuesday about the same topic with different parameters. Then I sent an email on Wednesday with the same topic with different parameters again. And so I reached out and said, I am so sorry. I just recognized, that in the way I usually work, I don't think, and this, we're channeled through when we're doing the work we're supposed to do, and we are in joy and we are in service. We don't even have to plan and think half the time. We come on to something like this, and you and I didn't write 1,000 notes and 1,000 questions because it's who we are. But because of, COVID brain, which I'm finding out is a real thing, I've had to back up and really slow down. So when I say ask for help, that might be apologizing for something that you've done. Like that's asking for help. That's saying, I'm so sorry I did this. A lot of type A's have a real hard time apologizing, especially to someone who isn't their equal or above them. So, we have to there's a word I think you use, recalibrate. We've got to look at right now, and I ask everyone to follow this one example. Which area of your life is creating the most chaos right now? Which area have you procrastinated on the most? Which area do you not want to take care of? Which area are you waiting for someone else to save you with? Which area are you waiting for the pandemic to end so we can get back to normal? Which area are you avoiding? Even though other people may have said, hey, it seems like you're drinking a little too much, you're eating a little too much, or, you're really rough on your kids. I've never seen you like this. You have no patience in traffic. I've never seen you in road rage and you're going crazy right now. Like what area is it that we have avoided, denied, delayed, procrastinated on? Kristen, in 1996, we created what I'm talking about. It's called the one thing theory. And the one thing theory states this: at any given time in life, there's only one goal to go after. The one you've denied, delayed, procrastinated on, the one you do not want to do. And here's the magic. Once you put in an hour a day, 90 straight days, a minimal for that one goal, and you start to see improvement, every other area of your life automatically raises up to the next level. But what most people do is they take their to-do list, and at the very top, it's, oh yeah, buy chocolate. Number 2, it's like the easiest crap in the world. And then we get down to number 27, it says, quit drinking. Or we get down to number 25 and it says, quit procrastinating on paying your bills. Or we get that, so what we say is bring that up to the top of the list. I know it's a pain in the butt. I know you don't want to do it, but guess what? It's those people that do what they'd rather not do that create success in times of turmoil and peace. We're in the most incredible turmoil I've ever seen in my life. I avoided COVID for almost 3 years. When I got it, and I'm extremely healthy, I had no idea for 3 weeks I'd be on my back, basically crying like a baby because the fever was so freaking intense. I come out of that, and now I've got to ask for help, right? And I do. And I ask for help every day. I have a very deep spiritual program. I have a courtyard every morning and I sit in for an hour and a half to 2 hours. After I got out of my fever-based experience, I've been able to get back in. And getting back into that, creating that space for that oneness, that connection, whoever you want to call it, universal energy, sacred earth, great palm tree, I don't care what you call it, it's like, get in touch again, create that space for creativity to flow. A number of years ago, a couple of friends of mine used to say to me, you are just downloading constantly. And I really, because I'm not a tech person, I had no idea what they were saying. But when someone changed the word and said, you are being channeled through every day, I understood it, right? Now, how are we channeled through? Well, we're channeled through if the channel is clear. So, I was an alcoholic and a cocaine addict for 30 years. My channel was minimized for 30 years because I was using something to alter my brain chemistry. It might be food addiction. It could be a sex addiction. It could be a spending addiction. It could be a righteousness addiction for all of you people that are always correct. But whatever it is, we've got to realize it, look in the mirror and attack it. This is what people do. The one thing theory. What's the one thing you've denied, delayed, procrastinated, you don't want to work on? I guarantee you that is your path to freedom. That's your path to success. You're going to have to get humble. You're going to have to look in the mirror and say things that you don't want to say. Like when I looked in the mirror and said, you are a raging alcoholic years and years ago, I didn't want to say that. I had said I was going to heal myself, Kristen, because I have helped other people. I don't heal anyone. I've helped other people get sober for years and years and years. I couldn't do it myself. I checked into a 30-day treatment center. I hired a therapist for 52 straight weeks when I got out of that treatment center. The most amazing thing I've ever accomplished. My dad, he just died in January. And yesterday was Father's Day, and it sucked. It sucked worse than anything. I had the most amazing connection with him. Like sometime I'll tell you this story that'll blow your mind. I'm going to tell you it briefly right now and go back to my dad. I got to my dad a couple hours after he died, and I was crushed. The only thing, my mom and dad were in hospice for 4 years. The only thing my dad asked for, would his children be there when he passed? My mom passed last January. Exactly 1 year later, my dad passed, not uncommon. They were both sick as hell for years. But my father, when he passed and I got there a couple hours late, I was able to do something very few people get to do. I was able to lay with my father for 2.5 hours after he passed. I was able to open my heart and soul. I told him so much. I told him everything. I screamed. I cried. I was like a child to him. And I told him that I was going to carry on his legacy, a legacy I had never mastered. His patience was beyond imagination. His love, the way he shared it. He was an accountant. He shared his love in the most deepest ways possible. He was a quiet man. He was so wise, so benevolent. When he retired, he became an altar boy in the Catholic Church at 72. And for 10 years was an altar boy 7 days a week in the Catholic Church. I tell you all this, Kristen, because of what he said to me. Well, he said to my brother, he said this to my brother 100 times. He never once said it to me. He said, the greatest accomplishment your brother David has ever accomplished, it's not money, it's not books, it's not houses, it's sobriety.
Wow. Wow.
Thank
you so much for the intimate share. That is, I have chills absolutely all over my body. And what's resonating for me, you were talking about doing that one thing, which in this case for you was sobriety, right? And how challenging that is. And you're someone in this mental health space and an incredible leader in this space. And yet it was something you were so challenged with. And often many of us, share from that place of knowing because of our personal experiences. What keeps us in the loop of that procrastination, of that inability to actually face that one thing that would make all the other things, fall in place? What holds us back from that?
Kristen, it's the magical question. And I'm blown away you asked it, because so few people don't even go there. We are the thing that keeps us in that place. We are the one that created it. And I'll give you an example of addiction. There's all this talk about addiction, alcoholism, we'll just make it easy, that it's genetically based. That's a bunch of crap. It's 100% crap. And I go up toe to toe with doctors every freaking week, telling them that what you're doing is you're encouraging your client to be an alcoholic for life. 12-step programs. You're encouraging your clients to be alcoholics for life, because they say things like once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. It's not your fault. It's your genetics. BS. Multiple sclerosis is a genetic disease. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. Alcoholism is a freaking choice. I'm a person that got sober, not from any medical intervention, not from pills, not from surgery, not from anything to do with doctors, for God's sake. I got sober because I made a choice to go into places with people who can help me understand what I couldn't understand myself. Kristen, when I was diagnosed in the treatment center with undiagnosed generalized anxiety disorder that I had as a child, ADD, which I never knew I had, ADHD, I never knew I had. I mean, depression, of course, that makes sense. You're an alcoholic, you're trying to self-medicate, But I found out all of this stuff about me that I had no idea. I had to start working on all of this stuff, and so we are the ones. But here's the thing. Alcoholism has nothing to do with genetics, because we are the ones that put it in our mouth. There is no gene that comes out that forces you to put a drink down your mouth. You know, you don't drive by a store and the gene takes over and pulls you into the driveway. You know, come on now. It's not. Now, there is a genetic link. I have a ton of alcoholism in my family. My aunt died a horrendous death of alcoholism. So there's a link, but you must drink to turn the link on. And your first choice can be your last choice as well. Your first choice to drink can be your final choice to not drink. And once you do that and get into recovery, now, sobriety is not recovery. This is huge. Just not drinking, just not being a sex addict, just not spending emotionally, that's sobriety. You have to start with stopping the addiction. That's the first one. That's sobriety. But listen to this. After you stop your addiction, the sobriety part is 10% of recovery, because it's not about the substances. Addictions are caused by low self-confidence, low self-esteem, peer pressure. They're caused by trauma. They're caused by abuse, emotional. They're caused by neglect. It's caused by emotions that we don't know how to cope with. That's what causes all addictions. It can be caused by a role model in the family that encourages us to eat dessert when we're good boys and girls. And all of a sudden at 16, we're 100 pounds overweight. And then we look and mom and dad are overweight. So we say, oh, it's genetics. 10% of people who are obese have a genetic link. Let me repeat that. 10% of the University of Florida study. They said 6%. I'm going to bring it up to 10%. But the rest of it, can it be physically related? Sure, there are different metabolic syndromes and different things we need to look at to see what, but mainly it's a freaking choice. Every addiction is a choice. We choose to escape reality. That's what addictions allow us to do. We get out of reality. So someone who's addicted to arguing over politics, they're out of reality for the period of time they're pissed off. You want to argue over the vaccine? Go next door. I'm not listening to your crap, but that's an addiction. It's the same thing with religion. You know, your way is the only way. That's called righteousness. It's an addiction. So what we want to do is realize that all of this is self-chosen. And then here's the next thing I want to mention, Kristen, about your question. Why do we keep repeating it? That's the power of the subconscious mind. The conscious mind says, I think we need to drink. The subconscious waits for a pattern. The conscious mind says, hey, it's Friday. The subconscious goes, oh, Friday. The conscious mind says, Saturday, birthday party, oh, party. So it starts off with, we create the pattern because the subconscious only can regurgitate what the conscious gives it. So whatever you give it, the subconscious's mind is just to repeat it. Now, that might sound like the subconscious is evil. It's not. It's just following your lead. So let me give you another example. If you've ever had children, you start teaching them to brush their teeth at a very young age, and most children will hate it. The toothpaste stings my gums. The brush hurts my teeth, right? It's every excuse in the world, right? They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. But once they get into a habit of it, by the age of 15, they don't have to put a note on their school book saying, go back and brush your teeth. When you're 50, there's not a note on the dashboard saying, go back. That's the power of the subconscious with a healthy habit, right? So you put it in, the pattern is put in. We are in complete control of our crap and our greatness. It's us, Kristen. There's no one else. It's not your parents. It's not your partner. It's not your next door neighbor. It's not your kids. We choose.
Oh, David, you just took us exactly where I was hoping we would go. And that is that we are in control of our own destiny based on this patterning of our subconscious mind that we've created. And I had a really big awakening, if I could share it with you. It was like 5 days ago. I was doing some work with someone who was helping me tap into subconscious and do some releasing. And while I have had major trauma in my youth, that is something I've worked a lot on releasing, and I feel very comfortable with. This is what came up for me. And why I'm sharing this is to express that things that can impact your behavior, like that uncle that you love who said eat dessert, like that's a positive, that's a positive scenario, you know, but it did create a negative effect of 100 extra pounds. So I came into this awareness last week that when my little brother was born, and he is by far one of the most spectacular humans on the planet. I love this guy. And I'm 4 years older than him. And I, through hypnosis, went back to a memory of when he was born. It imprinted on me that I had this immense, awesome responsibility to buck up and protect him and take care of him. I remembered that scenario in my life of him being born and the joy I felt, but I never remembered that I shouldered like everyone's, safety and happiness and pathway. And I have been asked throughout my life, like, why do you push so hard? What are you chasing? Like, what are you going for? And I realized this past week that I needed to reprogram my subconscious mind, that I was safe, that my brother was safe, that I don't need to perpetuate through my subconscious imprinting. So that's all I got. There's so much more I want to understand.
Yeah.
So walk us through. You are a multi-best-selling author. Time and time again, you bring so much opportunity to the globe for people to do this work, for people to look within, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's group, whether it's through seminars or podcasts, whether it's through certifications, which I want to touch on, later on. But I have a couple of your books that I have had the pleasure of reading. One of your latest being Helping Americans Heal. I love this conversation because the state of mental health isn't just for folks who have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder. Each and every human on the planet right now is having a challenge with their mental health. Talk to us a little bit, especially based on, and I highly suggest you pick this up for a very, very amazing read on how do I support my own mental well-being. But walk us through a little bit. Awareness, I know, being one. What are some other tools we can use to support our mental health?
Well, one of the hardest things to do is self-diagnose, Kristen, and you know that. It's really almost impossible to self-diagnose. I think the first step is, let's go back. I'm a huge fan of writing. And so I always say to people, when you put something in the physical world, it becomes real to both the conscious and subconscious mind. And if you want to change something, this thing's got to get woken up. And one of the ways it's woken up is by writing down, like, what is it that I'm challenged by? So let's say that you've become extremely impatient recently with your children, your partner, in traffic or whatever. You'd really want to reach out to an accountability partner and say, hey, can you help me figure this out? I'm not being myself. I used to work out all the time and I find that I'm procrastinating. Now I want to make this statement. We believe through the pandemic, procrastination has become part of a mental illness, without a doubt. People that used to take care of themselves, we happen to live in the same city, Kristen, and I work with a lot of people in town and a lot of very big business owners. And you would not believe the number of very large business owners from our town over the last 6 to 8 months coming to me with a huge spike in alcoholism. I mean, massive. And these are people running huge companies. And they're going like, what the heck is going on? Well, they could only diagnose that they're arguing more with their partner, that they're both drinking more together. They could diagnose the action, but they couldn't diagnose the why. Like what's going on? I mean, I had all this discipline before the pandemic. I, would limit myself to 2 drinks on Friday night or whatever it might be. And now it's 7 days a week. So when you're looking to try to identify, that's where the help of a professional really needs to come into play, because it could be a variety of things. It might be that when his father was young and was laid off, he went to drinking. So the guy saw when he was 12, when dad was struggling, he started drinking more. This is a purely subconscious pattern. And it only came up to him because he was in the same position as his dad. Now, the subconscious didn't say to the conscious mind, hey, don't go down the same road as your father, because the subconscious doesn't know good or bad. It really doesn't. All it knows is observation, input. And then if we see it enough, it becomes who we are. So, in this case, we want to have someone else help us diagnose the origin. And this is a crucial point. When we find the origin of our depression, our anxiety, our emotional spending, our increase in food or alcoholism, when we find the origin, now we have logic. Logic here, logic here. With logic, we can start to change. But wishful thinking, hopeful thinking, positive thinking won't do a darn thing to a pattern that is bringing us down the roadway to destruction, to elimination of good habits. We really do have to sit down and look at the origin. Logic, and this is one of the things that surprises me all the time, Kristen. So many people are based strictly out of emotion. this feels good. Let me do this more. They don't stand back and say, this feels good, but it's pure sugar. Should I be consuming it? So that's an emotional, oh, I feel good. I want more. Instead of, I feel good. Is this good for me? We could say that for anything. Oh my God, Saks Fifth Avenue has this really great sale. I can get 3 pairs of jeans for the price that I normally pay for one. That feels great. Okay. Is it logical? Does it make sense? I don't care about how much money you make. Is it logical? Is stuffing 3 more jeans in your closet going to do what? It's going to clutter your brain. We do know that clutter in your physical space clutters the brain, which could lead to procrastination and a bunch of other stuff. So when we get to the origin and go, oh, that's why I want to buy more things, drink more, argue more. That's why I want to. We need to find the origin in order to create a pathway with solutions.
Root cause, right? And so
Yeah.
thank you for that. And so many of us, me inclusive of that, have just willed our way, right? Through very strong, will and ego, and I can get her done. I can get her done. And then the foundation, right, is getting crumbly because of the weight of that. And my body gave out from me willing my way through life. And this is the part I love, is that while it may be showing up, or you may be coming into awareness through, okay, my credit card bill's jacked, happened to me. What the hell am I doing? Yet that would only be if I willed my way through reducing my financial debt. That's only fixing that one problem from a very egocentric place. When you go from the inside out and you heal from the inside out, then never mind your finances and the 3 new pairs of jeans that you didn't need and can't fit in your closet anyway dissipates. But then you also lose weight, and you also are in better relationship, and you're not so mad at work. So to me, it's like, instead of band-aiding it with lipstick and bubble gum and, Band-Aids, let's pause and get to the root. So I love what you said about identifying what that inner thing is.
Yeah. And, it doesn't have to be a really time intensive experience. You get with a great counselor, therapist, a great coach, a great financial planner, whatever your issue is, right? You get with someone really good. And I mean, it might take us in our work. Well, I've been doing this for 43 years. So there is an advantage to experience for sure. But, I mean, it normally doesn't take more than 3 to 4 sessions to get to the origin of anything. And I mean that sincerely, Now, I don't get to the origin. And here's something I want to talk about in the world of therapy or coaching or whatever. The role that we should be playing is asking the right questions for our clients to do the correct homework so that they come up with their own answers. When they come up with their own answers, they can heal. If you say to them, hey, you know what? You had an abusive childhood. That's why you're doing X, Y, Z. It may not be. We're making a judgment out of some things they said. Maybe their childhood really means nothing to them, but something happened in college at 22 that they're carrying forward. So we give them all of these exercises to do in writing. And within a short period of time, we can find right away, was this person modeling mom or dad or grandma or grandpa in regards to always being anxious? We can pick up anxiety just from the environment we live in from 0 to 18 and carry that anxiety as if it's genetics when it's not at all. We just had role models that every day they were anxious about something. I remember a story of when I was a kid. I grew up in the 60s, born in the 50s, grew up in the 60s. And we had party lines, which for people that aren't familiar with those, it was, a phone, like a real phone. You had a receiver, right? And to save money, you shared it with multiple other families. So you would pick it up, and if someone's on the line, you got to hang up right away. Okay. And then you'd pick up 5 minutes later. I don't know if you remember that, Kristen. Yeah, I know, exactly. But here's the crazy thing. Whatever woman in the neighborhood had the most gossip was the queen of that neighborhood. She was revered, and it still is that way today. And nothing has changed regarding gossip. The person that knows the most garbage about whatever's going on TV, or the neighbor down the road is cheating with someone else or whatever, they're still revered, Kristen. And so this is the type of insanity that we run in, like that thing that I'm talking about back in the 50s and 60s, even though the phones have changed and we don't have party lines anymore, but it's still that same based in the subconscious. Like, oh my God, Mary, are you serious? How many times was she sleeping with Ted? And then it grows and it grows. It might be for some people watching this right now, that your number one issue is gossip. Now, why do people gossip? People gossip to be on top of the hill. They want to be on the highest heap. They want to know more than everyone else. They want to have sensationalism as their middle name. Now, that will get you a lot of attention. Absolutely. It might get you a lot of acquaintances, but gossip is negative. So your acquaintances are going to be the same thing you're gossiping about. This might be something someone watching right now say, God, I have an opinion about everything. I know what Biden should do and shouldn't do. I know what Trump should have done to get reelected. I know, and that's gossip. It's all gossip because there's no solid information that you have, no matter how smart you think you are, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just being real. No one knows what really goes on behind the insane doors of Washington, D.C. No one has a freaking clue. And so we're making assumptions and we're making all these projections, but it's based on what? No one knows. It's just like, was the COVID created by man to destroy men? Is that true? How do we know? No one has that answer yet. And even when we have the answer, it probably won't come out as truth. We live in a world of untruth. That's why, other than a few things, I am so apolitical. I'm disgusted with politics, absolutely disgusted. And I probably should run for some office because I'm so disgusted. But when I look at, a very good friend of mine, Scarlett Lewis, 12 years ago, her son, Jesse, 6 years of age, was massacred at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Now, Kristen, regardless of anyone's opinion, I really don't care. The fact that we have Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, Texas, Top Supermarket in Buffalo, New York, the last two all happened within the last month or so. And we are supposed to be the smartest country in the world, and we're one of the dumbest countries in the world as we allow assault rifles, which I call machine guns, to still be on our streets. If Ted Cruz or Mitch McConnell's great-grandchild was slaughtered in a massacre with an assault rifle, we might get politics to look at and politicians to look at it a little differently. Greed and money are so powerful, as you know and I know. Nothing's changing until something really terrible happens, as if something really terrible hasn't already happened. And this is the way. So now I just gossiped, if you want to say gossip, but this is truth. I'm not going to stand and see another 20 freaking children massacred in an elementary school. And, I just wrote an article on our blog today, and it asked these questions. How many mass murders have happened with pens, hangers, scissors, knives, swords, bows and arrows, handguns, for God's sake? I was on a New York television station not long ago, and I said this, and I called Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell out, and I said everything I'm saying right now. If I have a handgun, I am not anti-guns. I have one for my own protection. If I walked into an elementary school, I would have to be a marksman to kill 20 kids in the amount of time it takes a machine gun spray to kill 20 kids. I would have to be, they're running all over the place. You'd have to be an incredible shot, right? So what's wrong with our country? Do we need assault rifles for rabbit hunting? Is that what we're doing? We're going to use it for trout fishing? Like you shoot a deer with an assault rifle, how much venison is left? I mean, it's this type of stuff that I say, and I normally don't go political, but I am so passionate, and Kristen, you're part of a brand new website we just created, mentalhealthhealing.org, mentalhealthhealing.org. We have you there. Why? Because I believe in you. I believe in your message, just like all the other people we have up there. We have Gabby Gifford up there, for God's sake, shot in the head by a gun, the congressman from Arizona. We have the Brady Foundation. We've got all of these organizations, not just with gun control. Racism is a mental illness. We've got organizations up there for that. Can David Essel change the world? Hell no. Can David Essel and Kristen Collins start to make a dent? Hell yes. Can we stay passionate enough and grounded enough in our work, Kristen, to make a profound impact on this world? And the answer is only if we desire to. It's a choice. Sobriety is a choice. Fighting for rights is a choice. Fighting for a better world is a choice. You can't sit on your damn hands and see anything change. Amen.
Amen, brother. Preach. I love that. And that just brought me full circle to, oh my gosh, there's something wrong everywhere. What is truth? Everyone has their own truth based on their own biases and lens. So it gets overwhelming, right?
Mhm.
And it can be
Right.
very, very heavy. So what I love to work towards is my own introspection so that I can be the best human that I can be in a world that there's most of the things I can't control. I'm not going to get up every day and spend a lot of energy trying to control outside of me things that I don't control. I'm also, like you said about gossip and judgment, I spent many years judging others and being very vocal about how I thought they were wrong or they should do it different. I've completely realized for me that they have their own right to be who they are. My job is to know me, love me, take care of me, and be a lighthouse for what I believe in, like you are. And then you attract like-minded people. So where I want to go with this as we kind of come to an end of this amazing opportunity to find the spark within. So if working on self and knowing self and loving self can be foundational to elevating consciousness and then all this chaos, you again offer unbelievable ways for people to introspect, look within, find their root cause, do the subconscious healing so they can thrive and not band-aid on the top, but actually help support all of the different facets so they can thrive. I love that you've taken an additional step, and I want to express gratitude for this. I'm going to be going through this program that you're now offering myself in the fall. You are now offering a mental health certification for two reasons. One, we need more people trained to support the mental health of the globe, but also what's really attracting me to it is that helps me do the work for me. So can you please share with us, the birthing of that, what it looks like and how people can go through your certification, not only to go out there and create a business line based on it, but that can also help them on their own journey.
Kristen, I have if you could see my back, it is filled with chills going down my arms and everything else. It's so crazy what you just said, because I want to say this. Whenever someone goes to take our life coach certification on mental health, I tell people the number one reason you're taking it, believe it or not, is for you. And I want you to take it for you first. I don't want you thinking, oh, and when I get a client, I'm going to do this in the middle of the certification. I want you to ask yourself every time we go through anxiety or depression, or we're talking about dual diagnosis, or we're talking about, how do you ask questions and not give advice? One of the hardest things for people going through the certification when they get out is they want to give advice. And we don't give advice in our coaching program. 90% of the time, our answer is a reverse question to their question. 90% of the time when they ask a question, we give them an assignment for them to answer their own question. Only 10% of the time do we tell them what to do. And that's only if they're going down a pathway to hell. If I see someone and they say, well, I think I'm going to do this, and I know it's going to explode in their face, I will say, time out. Here's 10% of me. I got to give you advice on this time, right? But what you just said is absolutely true. And it's funny because an hour ago, someone coming this Saturday to the certification asked me, how should she be mentally prepared? I thought it was a great question. I've never asked that. And it's just like what you just said. And I said, I'll tell you how to be mentally prepared. Don't worry about coaching another person. Don't worry. I'll teach you how to do that. Go through the course for you, and you will come out radically freaking changed in 90 days. The weekend workshop is 2 days long. They've got, up to 6 months if you want to take it to finish it. Most people finish it in about 90 days. That 90-day period is a birthing period of the new you, the amazingly new grounded you, the aware you that has taken your awareness and put it into action, not just being aware anymore. It's like that magical formula. Awareness doesn't mean anything until it's put into action. And once it's put into action, oh my Lord, amen, Jesus, you are a healed person. You're walking, you're doing, it's incredible. So what you just said is true. I love it when people come in and we can say to them, don't worry about others yet. Focus on you with every part of this course. And people find out, there's some pretty cool things, Kristen. I've been, certifying coaches since 1996. And there's been some really cool things that people have walked out with. Like there'll be people at the end of the course that go, I never really knew I had the strength to finish this kind of work. I never really knew I had this determination because I've got 3 kids at home and I finished your work, David. It's like that feeling boosts self-confidence, self-worth, self-esteem. And we tell you, if you want to do the course in 90 days, you read 10 pages a day out of a book, and you do 4 pages out of a manual. And in 90 days, you're done. If you want to take 6 months, you read 5 pages a day, 2 pages in the manual, and you're done. So we set it up in such a way that people are structured, and they don't wait till, the 3rd month to go, oh my God, I've got books to read and things to answer. So, the mental health course, first, it's for you. It's whoever takes the certification. The very first thing is for you. And then secondly, you get to apply the principles, either a full-time income, part-time income, whatever you want, to help this world heal. And as you mentioned earlier, we're trying to create a small army of people because, the government doesn't have the resources. We know that. I mean, they don't have the resources for our veterans, for God's sake. How are they going to have the resources for 300 million other people? So we have to have private groups like ours that are out there on the front line saying, we're going to help. We haven't been asked to help. That's okay. We're going to help anyway.
We're self-selecting to help. No,
That's right.
And when I went through my holistic coaching experience, what you just said was exactly right. I thought I was being trained on how to give my brilliant advice. And as I was going through this 6-month program, and it was the hardest thing to hold the space to let someone self-discover. And I kept cracking up because I was like, who do you think you are that you have the answer for other? And what a ripoff for other, because how many people really, really get the work done because someone else told them to, or someone else told them how? No one, right? Your best lessons are when you go, oh, and you self-discover it. So my maturation in holding space for other was to get out of this, for me, immature, I had all the answers, and now really marvel in, listen, what it looks like for you and what it looks like for me, I guarantee you are 2 different things, and it's supposed to. We are all wired different. We're supposed to be, because I know who I am because there's not me out there. And it's in that difference that I can, we're a beautiful tapestry. And, thanks to the amazing work you're leading, we're able to work towards sharing this planet, with one another, with Mother Earth. We can stop destroying everything, and we can actually coexist by being interconnected. Yeah. So David, keep shining, man. I am so grateful that you and I have crossed, even though we've lived near each other for decades. I wasn't ready for you. That is clear. Thank you for saying yes to spending some time. I know that we've done some other work and we haven't even begun doing the work we're going to do together. May I ask, in closing, folks are going to be lit up from your energy, from your messaging, from the opportunities you afford them. How can folks best plug in with your work?
Yeah, we are all over. The best place to go would be the website, talkdavid.com. At talkdavid.com, you'll find out about the mentalhealthhealing.org, Helping Americans Heal. Along with the book, we have a free online program. We're giving away 500,000 memberships and the minute they sign up, Kristen, they get our #1 best-selling book on positive thinking. So the second you sign up to Helping Americans Heal, there you go.
I got them all. I got the coursework, but I'm ready.
I love it.
Educate me.
Amen, Kristen. So when you sign up for the program, the Helping Americans Heal is free. You get the book first, and then every Monday you'll get all kinds of resource information. And then the other thing, of course, you can work with me one-on-one from anywhere in the world. We've been doing that for 43 years. And then the last thing we have coming up, which we're super excited about, which I mentioned to Kristen before the show, that actually the mental health certification came out of this idea. We'll be beginning, I believe it's going to be Tuesday evenings in July, doing a Tuesday a month, a 2-hour, very condensed, very intense, very inspirational seminar. And you can join us via Zoom or in person in Florida on different topics like pandemic fatigue. What are the answers to get out of it? Anxiety, depression, and PTSD. How do we move forward in life? Weight gain via the pandemic. What's the first step to long-term weight loss? So we're picking topics that are so concentrated and so dense, and we're going to put 2 hours into it. Extreme fun, extreme inspiration. So those are just a few of the programs that we have coming out. And if we talk tomorrow, there'll be 2 more.
I give you an hour and there'll be 2 more. You are just downloading. You're such an open vessel, and it's really touching so many lives. I am completely honored to be able to be in space with you, and for my own personal development and growth and understanding, and also to be a conduit to support, like-minded community. So David, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your vibrancy, your authenticity, and your willingness to serve in such a bold capacity.
Kristen, you are so welcome. And I just had a blast with you today. And I can't wait to see how many different things we're going to do together, because it's limitless.
Amen, my friend. Amen. Well, thank you. And thank you all for taking some time to listen in to Find the Spark Within. I hope that this conversation has reminded you that all that you're looking for is already inside of you. And it's a matter of being here now and reconnecting with the love that you are, that you will find your unique, purposeful life and do that healing work so you can thrive and rock this life out. So until next time, David, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
You have just listened to another episode of Finding the Spark Within with Kristen Collins. If you found our content valuable, visit us at kristencollins.com/podcast, where you can find more episodes and amazing content. Connect with your purpose and discover ultimate joy. Join us again next time here on Finding the Spark Within.